payment has climbed to 8.3 million, almost triple as the amount of last year. And now with average demands, now they are at 18 million. Nearly 60% of attacks of encrypted data and 40% also involve data theft. I think you have an idea of where we're going with this. And it's kind of a conversation that we've had a couple of times here on the show, but it's very important, especially for those that are coming in the game, to be aware of what is going on with the data that exists online, especially big businesses, because man, you'd wake up tomorrow and you'll have absolutely nothing. So it's important that we have these conversations. Now, we're going to be talking to my guest who's on standby. It is Sophos Channel Manager, it's Christopher Steyn. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Tech Africa, Christopher.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yes, Christopher, why do you believe South Africa is experiencing this unique and worrying spike in ransom payments?
I believe that South Africa is experiencing this spike because it's become a sweet spot for cyber criminals. On the one hand, we have a highly digital economy with valuable data. And then on the other, many organizations lack the skills, the defenses, and backup strategies to withstand these attacks. So that's why ransom demands have shot from 2.8 million rand to 18 million rand in just a year. And the median payments have nearly tripled. So attackers know local businesses are more likely to pay because recovery costs are crippling. It's around 24 million rand on average, and then backups are failing more often. Add to that the shortage of cybersecurity expertise and immense pressure on IT teams, and you've got a perfect storm that makes South Africa one of the most lucrative ransom markets in the world.
Sure, Bana. So are you saying Africa is right up there in terms of their attacks? I wonder where we are ranking globally.
So I know there was a report done a while ago via Scotland Yard, and South Africa as a country, maybe not Africa as a whole, but just the southern tip of Africa, we are currently ranked third in the world. So it's quite scary thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the one that actually was the most talked about was, the name is right there, it's just not coming out, TransUnion. The credit profile business, and that happened 2 years ago, and it was the most talked about when the data was leaked or it was stolen. I think it was stolen. The data was stolen with the business. I think then the conversation started being more of a people were interested to find out, because then it started to feel like it was not just affecting businesses, because remember, we were all thinking, my goodness, it could be my information that is being stolen, because remember, we are all on TransUnion, especially if you want to access your credit report. So it became everybody's business at that time. So
100%.
So then what can businesses do then, Christopher, if they find themselves in that situation?
Well, the biggest thing that businesses need to do today is they need to look internally. They need to look at what are their current processes, what do they currently have in place, is their strategies up to date. If they question their strategies, they need to speak to experts to kind of guide them as to what they need to look at. Because we all know cybersecurity is not an overnight solution. It's a journey. So you need to find out what is the journey that you need to walk. Where do you need to start? What are the gaps that you need to fill? And then from there, start building a proper strategy that you can actually implement and test. So it also comes down to the testing. You need to have a response plan in place. So in the event that something happens, how am I going to respond in the market? How am I going to recover from that? So is the plan that I have in place, is it there for me to be able to get back to a trading position, or am I going to be offline for days, weeks? We don't know. So that's where a dedicated plan is a good step. It's a good place to be.
I want to go back to your report, Christopher. It mentions that the organizations using solutions like management detection as well as response, otherwise also known as the MDR, have better outcomes. I just want us to break it down in more simpler terms, as well as real-world examples of how the MDR then works to prevent ransomware attacks from succeeding eventually.
Sure. So if we think of managed detection and response, we look at it as like having a 24/7 security team for your house. So instead of just installing an alarm and hoping it works, MDR is the team that's watching the cameras. They're spotting the unusual behavior and then acting immediately when something looks suspicious. So for example, if ransomware gets into a company's network through a stolen password, MDR can detect that the attacker is moving around abnormally at 2 a.m. in the morning, trying to access all your sensitive files. So instead of waiting until the encryption starts, the MDR team steps in, they cut off the attacker's access, and then stops the spread before damage is done. That proactive monitoring and instant response is what makes the difference between a close call and a multi-million rand disaster.
Okay, so what are the key benefits then for a South African business, and how does it specifically reduce the double blow of both financial loss as well as operational disruptions? I mean, we unpacked what it does, the MDR. What are the the benefits, that's what I meant to say, for South African businesses.
So the benefits is as I mentioned, it's like having a security team on duty 24/7. You've got somebody looking after your environment all the time. So we know that businesses are not the experts. They're focusing on other areas of the business that they do very well in. So in order to have teams monitoring your environment, it becomes difficult, because in today's day and age, we've got a massive skills gap where you onboard somebody today, tomorrow they leave for something better, and then you have to start the whole process from scratch again. So by having dedicated teams in place, whether even in-house or outsourcing it, by having that additional layer to monitor what's happening on your network, gives you that sense of security in a way that you don't have to worry about it. It's not, you can carry on with your business while the experts look after your security needs, essentially.
Christopher, I want to now have a look at this ransomware threats. They don't just affect big businesses. It's all businesses, no matter how small your business is. So let's go then back to the small businesses, and you find them, they kind of get overwhelmed with all these terminologies, as well as every single thing that's happening with the business. What advice would you give those small business owners to start looking at, or how to maneuver all of this happening, feeling like it's happening at once?
Yeah, so for small and medium-sized businesses, the smartest first step is to take control of the basics. So because ransomware thrives when the fundamentals are weak. So that means making sure that your systems are updated, your staff are trained to spot phishing attempts, and that your data is backed up securely and tested regularly. So these may sound simple, but in practice, they close off the easiest doors attackers use to get in. So at the same time, small businesses shouldn't feel they need to become the experts, like I mentioned, but they need to partner with a trusted provider that can provide these 24/7 monitoring services and take that response and the burden off their shoulders. So think of it as outsourcing the heavy lifting so you can focus on running your business. And when this is paired with cyber insurance, you get an added layer of financial safety. So even if something goes wrong, you're not left exposed. And then the most important thing is not to freeze in the face of these situations and these statistics. It's to start with one action today, and that's securing your defenses and your backups. And then already you'll be reducing your risk dramatically.
Okay, I want to get to worst case scenario. It has happened. They got you. What happens? What are the likely chances of you getting your data back without having to pay this money? And even if you do pay this money, are you guaranteed that you'll get it back?
No, you're not. So even if you've been hit with ransomware today, the chances of you getting it back by doing nothing is very slim. Secondly, even if you pay the ransom, you're not guaranteed to get the data. And if you get your data back, you might only get a portion of the data back. So the adversaries today, they're driving this as a business. So if I as a hacker, if I attack your business and I'm successful and I get payment from you, the chances of me trying to attack you again is very likely. So what we see in most cases is that even if organizations get hit and they do nothing, the chances of them being breached again is very likely, and then for them to then pay again. So we would never, from a Sophos standpoint, recommend paying the ransom, but we would rather look at alternative ways to get back to a state that we can get you to operate again. And then from there, trying to secure your defenses in the back end to make sure that we've locked out the attackers and that the attackers essentially can't get back in again. So to then secure yourself. And then just coming back to the comment that you made about small businesses, is that what we see today is that it's more of a targeted approach. It's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if. Not if, it's a matter of when, where we see that the attackers are doing their homework. They know exactly who you are. They know what you can afford. They know what your data is. And then from there, do they then start planning the attack? And if we take this back to a couple of years when ransomware first started, back then it was kind of like a shotgun effect. To try and see if they can disrupt as much as possible. But today it's more targeted. There's more resources behind it, and as I mentioned, it's not driven as a business where they want to make sure that they ultimately get the most out of you as an organization.
Okay, so you as Sophos as well, you can intervene in the case where it has happened. It's not just to prevent it.
100%. Yeah, we've got rapid response services where we can actually assist organizations with our teams, where we kind of fight the hackers with hackers by trying to get your organization back to a state where you can operate again. So we do have the means in place to help customers today in the event that they have been compromised and they don't know what to do, they don't know who to speak to, because ultimately if you look as an organization, you've got all these layers of technology within your organization, and if something happens, who do you speak to? Who do you go to and say something has happened, please help me? And 9 out of 10 times they don't know who to call. And so yeah, if there is a chance of you being compromised, then we can, by all means, we can definitely help you.
All right. And where can people find you, Christopher?
So if you go to sophos.com, all our communication channels are available on our website. And then we've got a team in country as well. I can share my details with you afterwards if you've got any questions. We are on LinkedIn, so the whole team is on LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn, and the rest of my team as well. So we do have quite a big footprint on social media as well.
Oh, so it's Christopher Steyn on LinkedIn.
100%.
All right, I think they can start there, and then feel free to share the details. We'll try and put them on X. But thank you so much for scaring us on a Sunday morning. Kidding, Christopher. Thank you so much for enlightening and making us aware. I think there's just so much that happens that you just about it, but you're like, yeah, okay, I'll get to it. Maybe let me do this and I'll get to it. Oh, goodness. Any time could be tea time for any business, even us here at the SABC.
That's the problem, is that it can happen anytime. And what we see is that it normally happens when you least expect it.
Yeah.
And that's normally when the attackers attack. They wait for that gap. They're waiting. They know exactly when to execute, and it's normally during that time when there's nobody else around to assist you or to look at things, and that's when they compromise your business. So yes, it can happen at any time, and it can happen to anyone.
Once again, thank you so much for the conversation. Have a fantastic Sunday going forward, Christopher.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
That's Christopher Steyn, who is channel manager for the Sophos. You and I are sitting pretty at 0937 Central African Time. Well, maybe I am sitting pretty. What are you going to be getting up to on a Sunday morning? That's also a conversation that I would like us to start on social media, Channel Africa 1. In addition to the other conversations that we're going to be having on this show. That's what I want to know. What will you be getting up to today? But what's trending in your country? I find countries are quite interesting. We have Sunday morning trends in South Africa, which kind of are more entertainment based, what happened at this event based type of vibe. But I find other countries are constantly political. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is, you'll wake up to some precedent that, I picked this up when I was traveling from Kenya, and I made my way. I stopped in Tanzania, and I quickly wanted to check what was going on, like on X, and I found out, like, man, can get quite political over there. What are the trends like in your country? Also, let me know at Channel Africa #1 on social media. It happens on all those platforms, whether it is X, TikTok, Instagram. That's where you'll find us. Let's take one more song just to digest everything that happened this morning. That was a big conversation, wasn't it? I know. Let's cool it off.